Okay, there.
All right. All right, I got it.
Got it.
Okay. I forgot where we were, Sammy.
Yeah, me too. I know it was yellow. Amina, this thing went off.
Oh, we were talking about who lived the life, and we were where
Yeah,
John was flashing, and we talked about the son getting put in there when he didn't really have the horsepower. And that was one thing I was going to mention a little later when we get to it, but Raymond Patriarca putting his son in there was way worse than putting John Jr. in there. Way worse.
yes, yes. You know, tell you a little story about that. When Raymond Patriarca, the senior, the father, was a good man. He put his son in, and his son was really a fuck up. I mean, he didn't know how to run the family. He did all kinds of weird shit. They were going to kill him. There was a guy, JR Jr., and he was from Boston, and he he was the Cozziera family, and he was running most of the captains out of Boston. That was the power in the family.
J.R. Russo, right?
Yeah.
J.R. Russo, right? Yeah. Okay.
So we found out that they were gonna kill Raymond Petrarch and take over. And we went to a wedding out there, was the excuse. We went to this wedding, John Gotti, me and about 6 other captains. We went to a wedding, and we sat down with JR, and we talked with him. And he came up with all these reasons why they were going to kill him. And one of the reasons was that there was a woman in the small town where he lived, was a beautiful woman, and she was a hooker. She went with all the high-end guys in the town. He went with her, fell in love with her, married her. So as a boss, every time you're going out with your wife, you're going to go into a restaurant, there's 5, 6 guys who got fucked her or got blowed or whatever. So it doesn't fit for a boss. So they use that as well. So we talked with them and we said, listen, we think you're right. He's not a fit as a boss, but don't kill him. What we'll do is we'll talk with him and we'll tell him to step down. So they agreed with us, with John Gotti and myself, and like I said, all those captains. And we went to him. I wasn't at that second meeting where John Gotti sat with him, Raymond, and said, you know, these are all the things how your captains and your family feel. There was a hit, they were going to take you out. We stopped it. The only way we could help you is you step down, leave, and with your wife, and live a happy life, and they'll take over. If you don't do that, we can't protect you. They'll kill you. The power is against you. And he did step down. And I believe JR took over. And here's a guy, a perfect example of nepotism. He brought his son in. Now, maybe he brought him in, that's one thing, but making him the boss, that was fucking, it didn't work. So that's a perfect example of what you shouldn't do in the life and how the life became deteriorated. So that's his story.
Junior Petriarca was, I don't know, maybe for lack of a better description, he was like Humpty Dumpty. He really didn't know. He wasn't even on the fringes of it, and why the hell they did that. And then I'm sure you know that he recorded an entire induction ceremony in Medford. You know that, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he recorded the
No,
but the agents recorded it. You know.
Yeah, right.
He got stuck with that. I mean, he didn't record it. It was one guy was an informant, and he was getting made, and they recorded the whole fucking thing. And that was that was a big problem. But that's really not his problem. You know, that could happen.
Yeah, I
But
understand and I agree.
yeah, but
But
all the other things, he was disregarding the tough guys, captains, and you know, and he was in La La Land with that broad. I never did a story about it because I feel that she's probably alive. She's a grandmother. I didn't want, you know, that she's a hook. I didn't want to
yeah,
even talk about it. So I never did a video on it for that reason. I said, you know, why would I say that? The kids are gonna go over, Grandma, you were a hooker. So I left it out.
that's not good.
No, no, I didn't want to do that, you know, so I left it out. That was one of the reasons, and it's not enough to kill somebody, but you should step down. If that's what you want, fine. But you can't walk around with your wife into places, they'll ridicule you. And you know, you're in a high position as a boss, and they're right that they won't allow that. So, you know, but anyway, he did
Well,
step away.
in all the stories you've told, you sure certainly exhibit a high regard for women in that perspective, like you just said. Your grandmother's probably still alive. I heard you talk about seeing this other one in the bar, and you didn't want to put any stain on her name and this and that. So you have a lot of respect in that regard. As I've heard you mention it a few times.
Yeah.
There's a few times that you and I think the same way. Um, it was probably back in podcast 67, 68. You were talking about you came in the bar probably one night and asked these guys what they were doing and what they're laughing at, and they were making fun of a deaf girl that was dancing, I guess. And then you know, you told them that's not right. Don't be doing that shit. And then I fully agree with that. But
Let
I
me let
thought
me
it.
tell you,
Yeah, go ahead.
let me tell you a little bit about that story, which is crazy. Is that I got to know her, you know, and I gave her a lot of credit. I told my guys, if you were deaf and dumb, would you get on the fucking dance floor and dance? I think she's got a lot of courage. She's trying to have fun with her friends. She's doing nothing wrong. I give her a lot of credit. I got to know through her interpreter friend. And something came out with an experimental surgery um, that she found out about, and her family was chipping in. It was a lot of money. It was 35,000 back then. It was a fortune. Um, so I was going to make a donation to it, and I went to Atlantic City. I lost 20,000 in about 15 minutes playing craps, and I wanted to kick myself in the fucking ass. But talking to her, I talked to her again after that experience, and she said they raised $1,500, and the thing is 35,000, so she's not going to get the surgery. It wasn't covered by insurance or anything like that because it's an experimental operation where they can make you hear, and she would, once you could hear, it would probably be able to talk. So I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it, and that experience of losing that kind of money shooting crap. And I was making big money back then. I got her one night, her girlfriend, and called her over, and I said, "Come here, bring her over. Uh, you're not going to do the surgery because you just can't afford it and there's no insurance." Yes. So I told the girlfriend to tell her is that I would pay the 35,000 for the operation. So my guy, one of my guys, Huck, said, "Sam, you're going to pay 35,000 to get an operation?" I said, "Yeah." "Why?" I'm not banging her or nothing. I mean, says, listen, you know what? I blew 20,000 on a crap table. Some rich people are going to wind up with it, and nobody will see the light of day with that. This girl for 35,000, I might change her life. And it's something I really want to feel. I want to be proud of myself. I did it. If I could blow 20,000 at a crap table, I could spend 35,000 to change this kid's life. And we were going to do it. And then one day she came back, the girl, her girlfriend, and says, she's refusing the money. And I said, why? She says, it's a lot of money. And she talked with the doctors and everything, and it's experimental. It might work, it might not. So she don't want to take your money. I said, don't worry about me. I got a lot of money, bro.
Yeah, well, did I lose
That,
you again? Oh, no, okay.
I'm here. I said,
Okay, go ahead.
she said, yeah, something like that, 50-50 shot. So I said, well, tell him I'll pay for it. Don't worry. It's a good shot. It's a shot. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it don't work. At least she tried. I tried. She wouldn't take the money. And I never saw her again. My daughter, a couple of years, I don't know how many years, 2, 3, 4 years ago, wrote a book. And they had the book signings, you sign the book, there's a
Yeah,
line of people and they want to buy the book. That deaf woman, deaf and dumb woman, came to the book signing with her interpreter and told my daughter that she wanted the book. And she told my daughter the story. My daughter called me up and said, Dad, were you going to pay 35,000 to get some woman an operation? A woman's deaf and dumb? Years later, 20 something years later, 30 years later. I said, yeah, why? Who told you that? She said she came to my book signing. She's still deaf and dumb. And she had a girl tell me the story. I said, oh my God. 30 fucking years later, this woman's still alive and tells my daughter the story. That's phenomenal. I mean, even more than the story itself, that this woman would come to my daughter's signing and tell her the story. It was amazing. I don't think I did a video on it or anything like that, but it was amazing. So I said, did you get her number or anything? Where you could get in touch with her? She said, no. I signed her book and the interpreter told me the story. And I thought it was bullshit. I didn't even believe it at first. So the moral of the story is that when my daughter told me that, I felt so good. I did touch her life. I didn't give the money. I wanted to. She wouldn't take it. And she didn't get the help. But I touched her life with that thing.
yeah, and she never forgot it.
She never forgot it. And I've never forgot. I forgot it, really. I didn't forget it, but I didn't talk about it. I never said nothing. I didn't think anybody would believe me anyway. So I never said nothing. And here she comes back in my life that much later. It made me feel so good about myself.
Yeah, that's right. That's part of the reason we do it. I don't think I mentioned to you in the previous two calls that my wife and I do a lot of charity stuff. We take care of an orphanage up the street that usually has between 30 and 35 kids in it. Um, we do a lot to support them. We take them all out for birthday parties, and I have my friend cater Thanksgiving for them. The full deal. He's a guy from New Jersey, owns a smokehouse here. And they never saw a turkey. They never saw anything like a Thanksgiving dinner.
Right.
I take care of another school for mentally challenged children. You're not supposed to use the R word anymore. You're not supposed to use retarded. Well, I
Right.
didn't know. So, I mentioned to my friend, I goes, yeah, I said, we're starting to support the school for the retarded kids. What? Yeah. No, you don't use that word. And I said, well, okay. I mean, I don't want to be ignorant, but I'm not really politically correct either. So he
Right.
said, no, you don't use retarded anymore. They're
Yeah, right.
mentally challenged children. So we do a lot for them, and uh, have put on catered lunches at the homeless shelter for 200 people. They usually have 100 women and 100 men. And I buy them wheelchairs and canes. And my wife calls up the director when we're getting ready to go up there and just said, what do you need? And they tell us what they're low on. And we go to the similar place to Costco. Ours is called Macro. It's like a Costco. We go there and we get them whatever the hell they need, cases of adult diapers and this and that and the other thing. And we go put on a really nice lunch for them.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, we really enjoy doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It gives you self-satisfaction is that, you can look at yourself in the mirror and feel good about yourself. And
I've never been religious my whole life. I was raised as a Catholic, but I was never religious.
me either.
And but since I've been living over here for 19 years, and this is my second Oriental wife, I was married to Vietnamese for 14 years. Tiki's been with me for 17 years. So I take a lot away from Buddhism.
Right.
Buddhism relaxes you, meditation, all life has meaning, and do merit. Do merit every day in some way, whether it's for a person, an animal, whatever.
Right.
And we do that. We do that a lot. So,
That's good.
so the
And
other,
feel good.
I get back to the other part. I'm going to tell you two parts to that story about the deaf girl. I lived in Hawaii for 87 to 89. My last 13 months was on Maui. And we used to go to the Westin or the Four Seasons Hotel on a Saturday night. They had music, and I was single then, so we'd go down there and do whatever we did. And we ended up sitting down at a table with 4 or 5 girls. And one of them was, I'm going to guess 25, 27, something like that. And she's in a wheelchair. And she was having a hell of a time. She's drinking, she's laughing, she's just like any other girl.
Right.
And she'd get out on the dance floor in her wheelchair, the remote controlled wheelchair, and she'd be out there spinning that wheelchair around like she was dancing. So I went out there and I'm dancing with her, and we had a lot of fun that night, and I know it was good for her.
Right.
And then my friend said, well, did you take her home? No. I said, I would have felt bad lifting her out of the chair into the bed, at least felt bad for a few minutes anyway. But as far as you helping the girl with the money, I did tell you this probably on the second time we sat down, I think. I had a neighbor. Geez, I don't know why I'm coughing so much. I had a neighbor that borrowed $5,000 off of me. First, he wanted to borrow 45,000, and I said, no way. 30,000, no way. Then he came back at the end and he said, I only need 5,000 and I'll have what I need to take care of this problem. So I talked it over with my wife and I said, look, I don't give a shit if he even burns me for the 5,000. I don't give a shit about 5,000. We got money. So I said, we'll do it. I charged him interest. I wrote a contract with about 20 stipulations in it, like he was like 75 years old and his wife was 22. And I said, if you die, your estate owes me the debt. Your wife owes me the debt. And both of them initialed it. I got copies of their passports and all that shit. But it don't mean nothing at the end of the day. If he fucks off, all you got is a piece of paper that says he owes you money,
Right.
then go try to collect it, you know? So I had said it several times that I was not gonna loan money to friends or relatives anymore. It just doesn't end well.
No, they don't.
It
It
never
don't.
ends well if you're doing it on a business end, like you're gonna pay me the vig every week, and that's a different story. But loaning to friends and family, they will tell you anything to get that money. But then the first week or month that they don't have the money, I'm
You
sorry,
lose,
Sam.
you lose your friend and or your family member. You lose that relationship over money. So that's why
Yeah,
I agree. I don't want to lend family or I want if a guy don't pay me, I want to get mad at him. I may not do nothing, but I want to get mad at him at least. A family member, once you get mad at him, you lost a family member over money.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a bad
So,
move.
so after I gave that guy the 5,000, and I had many sleepless nights when I'm waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning plotting how I'm going to get rid of him the best way. And that's when I told my wife, this is it. I don't need the stress and aggravation to be awake at 3 o'clock in the morning. There's no future. I'm just not doing it anymore. It's probably 2 months ago now. The people at the end of the street, a Thai couple, they own a restaurant. I call it a five-star restaurant. The place is fantastic. And the foods they make, when they come out, they look like a picture out of a food magazine. You know, the way the plate is decorated, the food is
Right.
a 10.
Right.
And the pastries and stuff they make is fantastic. They're probably both around 50 years old. So those are the first people we met when we came up here on a house hunting trip. Sweetheart people, absolutely wonderful people. And they're building a house. And like a lot of us, when you build a house, you go over budget.
Yep.
Easy to do. So they had called my wife to ask if they could borrow 200,000 Thai money, which is around 7,000 US. And I love these people. But at first, I just said no. At some point, we got to say no. After what we went through with David, I
Right.
want to do it, but I'm just not going to do it because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So I said no. And then I felt bad about it. Well, we go there 2 or 3 times a month. And then when I walk in there and I'm facing these people, everything's happy, just like before, like they never asked for money. But in my mind, I'm feeling bad because I didn't help them.
Right.
So then, because we do all this other stuff and we do a lot of merit, I said, look, I talked to my wife and I said, I want to do something for Cy, but I'm not going to give him 200,000 and then work on paying me back. What I'd rather do, I'd rather give him 50,000. I'll give him 50,000 as a gift, as a housewarming gift. That's what I called it. I said, USA, we do this thing. When you move into a new house, your friends throw you a housewarming party. They bring you some things you need for the house. This is what we do.
Right.
So this is a gift. You don't owe me nothing. It's a gift. Here you go. And I felt so much better about doing it, like you and I have said a few times here. That was like giving them $1,700. I'd rather just give you $1,700.
Exactly.
You're happy. I'm happy. You owe me nothing.
I've done things like that too. I mean, it's better, it's here. I can't give you that kind of money, but here's a gift. Hope this helps you out with it. And it always winds up great, because you're the guy, you gave the gift. Now, if they made it, they made it. If they didn't make it, they didn't make it. But you're never disgruntled about the money, and they're never.
Yeah. It,
It's a good policy.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's invisible to me now. Um, I think you had already gone away. When did you go away? In 91 or 92? When did you go away?
I went away in 99. I got busted again in
No, the first time with John,
90, in
90, okay,
December of 90.
yeah,
Well, not December. Yeah,
okay.
something like that. December, I think it was, of 90. I went away.
Did you ever hear this name, Anthony Arilotta from Springfield, Mass?
I did. I did.
Did you know, did you know him at all? I don't
No,
think so.
no.
No, I didn't think so.
But I did hear the name, I think.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of stories about him. Um, I think he said the last time he's like 52 now, but he did a little bit of time because he he's another one that just took the paper. The feds came in and said, "This is the only time we're going to talk to you. Do you want to join Team America or do you want to run by yourself?" And he said, "Just give me the paper. I can't do that time." Um, and
Yeah.
then you know he took a bunch of people down, and he did it in a shitty way, the way he bumped off the other guy and that was running Springfield there for a while.
Yeah. You know,
I
there's
mean,
ways to do it when you say that in a shitty way. I always get that question about cooperating because I cooperated too. So every time I hear of a guy cooperating, I did time with a guy named Fat Cat Nichols, who was a black guy, and real tough bastard, real tough guy. And I asked him, what was his story? So he killed his probation officer, and he got a life sentence. And while he was doing time, his crew was out there. One guy was banging his wife. One guy was beat up his mother to get the spots where they were dealing these drugs or whatever they were doing. And so here's a guy who stood up. He's doing life. And you take over his spots by beating up his mother, fucking his wife. And then they came to him. They wanted to kill a cop because the cop was protecting some witness or something. And he said no. They went ahead and they killed the cop, even though he said no. And he gets pinched again because he's the boss. And he faces capital punishment, death penalty. And he says, I had enough. I fucking quit. And he flipped. Now, they call him a rat. Now, I look at that story, I said, a rat. The guy did a life sentence and stood up, doing his time. He didn't rat. You beat up his mother and took his spots. He couldn't do too much. He was in prison, but he didn't rat. You're fucking his wife. One guy's fucking his wife. I mean, what kind of respect are you showing this guy? He's the boss of this crew. And he still don't rat. Now you do something where he told you not to do it, and he gets pinched and faces a capital case. And he just says, I had enough. Now, in jail, I was friendly with him, real tough guy. And he wasn't fat, that's for sure. They called him Fat Cat. I don't know when he was fat, but in prison, he was fucking ripped nice and stood up. He actually got pinched in prison with this guy, White Boy Rick. They were doing something with White Boy Rick's father on the street. It caught up and they got pinched. He still didn't win. So when you did all these things to him, you want to call him a rat? Look what the fuck you did to him to bring him to that point. So when I look at when you call somebody a guy who flipped, I always like to hear what's his story. The guy got pinched. Some guy get pinched. He's going to get a slap on the fist, on the wrist. I call that a 5, 8, 10-year bid, and he flips. Boom. I mean, you can't even do 7, 8 years, and nobody did nothing to you. Now you're going to burn all kinds of people. Now, if you got a story, I always want to hear the story. It don't make sense when some guys who I know is a tough guy, a good guy, strong guy, and he flips. I always want to say, I don't call him a rat right away. I want to say, because I'm against it, even though I did it, I'm against it. But I always want to say, what happened? Why? This guy he don't fit the mold of being a rat. Why? There's got to be a story somewhere that made this guy do that. Same with me. I'm pinched on and off all my life. But when John betrayed me, I said, fuck the life, fuck him, fuck the, I quit. You know, so to me, there's a story. You couldn't make me rat no matter what. I faced cases and I went to jail all my life. But when that happened, I said, fuck him, fuck the life. I'm out of here. I'll join Team America. I'll join whatever. I'm going. I'm gone. So it wasn't the time element. It was how you are. How do you feel in this organization or crew or something that you took an oath with them, and now they're turning on you?
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, you know, so I always want to hear the whole story before I make a statement about the guy and stuff like that. Some guys are just,
You go ahead, finish.
no, I'm saying some guys are just born with it. You know, there's guys who badmouth me. I know their story. I say, you were facing 12 years, one of them. I'm not going to say his name. And he could have took a plea for 10. He would have did about seven and change. And he flipped. And he's calling everybody a rat. And you flipped on 80 fucking guys. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
how the fuck could you open your mouth? Of all people, you. So you weren't even facing a life sentence or 20 or 30-year sentence. You were facing nothing. And you were young. It's, you know, so I don't know. This whole thing, it's a weird thing. But like I said, in time, the whole thing fell apart. And John Jr., John Gotti's son, John Jr.,
Same.
he ratted his fucking brains out.
Yeah.
And they hide it, but I got the 302s. I got everything. I don't do anything about it. I don't say nothing. But, you know, and he's calling everybody a rat.
Last year, I started living this thing where I say I took the rear view mirror off my life. Everybody wants to live yesterday, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Everybody wants to live in the rear view mirror. There's nothing back there. It already happened.
Right.
What's important is what's in front of you. Stop
Right.
looking behind you.
Right. My father used to tell me that all the time. He says, if you look through the rearview mirror, you're going to live in the past. Look through the front windshield and go forward with your life. My father would
Yeah.
tell me all the time, don't, you want to live in the past? That's what you're going to do. So that was good advice. I always stuck with that advice.
It's one of the best things I ever did.
Is going forward.
Yeah, stop looking behind you. There's nothing back there.
Right.
There's nothing back there.
I hate that, you know, that policy, that this thing with, you know, racist this and this. Fuck, it happened 100
I'm sick
years
of
ago.
hearing
100
about that.
years ago. I'm disgusted of it. You know, most fucking white people don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. This happened 75 to 100 years ago. Who gives a fuck what happened then? There's a lot of things that happened in the past was bad. Look at Israel and the Arabs fighting back and forth about something that happened 78 years ago. What the fuck are you
No,
crazy?
it happened 4,000 years ago and they still haven't got over it.
Yeah, it's true. But I'm saying the last thing they're talking about happened 75,
Yeah.
78 years ago.
Yeah,
What do
you're
you
right.
fuck happened then?
I know what you mean, but
You know,
I just will never understand how you can hate somebody so much that you will kill them and kill them in a brutal way because they have a different religion from you. You
right.
don't like where they live. I just never understand that. And whether it's Jews and Arabs or black people and white people, I was just never like that.
No, I get it. I agree with you 1,000%. I don't get that whole system. It happens to everybody. You know, we talk about look at the United States. We took it from the Indians. I mean, who could have a better argument than them? But it happened then. It happened fucking 200 something years ago. You want to argue about it now?
I was on a $5 billion petrochemical plant in between two refineries in Kuwait from 2006 to 2008. We had 14,000 employees on that job from 17 countries. And we would have to take mandatory diversity training so that everybody got along with everybody, you know,
Right.
because some of them are X's and some of them are O's, and you got to have all the X's get along with all the O's. And they went through this whole bullshit diversity training program, but we never had a problem. But we had people from 17 countries there. We never had a problem. Do you know, I just found this out the other day. Do you know who was the first person that went into witness protection?
No, not the first person. I know there was the first mob guy who went in there was what the fuck was his name?
From Boston?
No, it wasn't from Boston. It was that famous guy who cooperated. It was the first
Oh, Joe Valachi.
Valachi. Yes, Valachi. He was in Texas, and they gave him a cell. They called it the Valachi Suite.
Yeah, but when he did that in front of Congress, he wasn't. He was the he wasn't even the first one that probably ratted. I want to ask you about that.
Yeah, no, he
But
wasn't.
this,
He was the most famous at that time.
yeah, and boy, did that really piss off J. Edgar Hoover, because he got asked, "Are you part of any criminal organization?" Yes, I am. Does that criminal organization have a name? Yeah. What is it? He said the mafia. Now, J. Edgar Hoover, as you probably know,
He's
he
hooked up.
always said there is no such thing as the mafia. You know that, right?
Yeah, because he was hooked up with the mafia. He was
Yeah.
close to them. That's why he never recognized it. He said there's no such thing. Everybody knew there was a mafia. He was saying there was no such thing.
Yeah.
And he was
Right.
the head of the FBI.
And then when Joe Valachi come out and said it in front of Congress, he was really pissed off. And
Yeah,
then
he can't deny it no more.
he wanted to get as much of the mob as he could. He didn't care if he got them legally or illegally. He just wanted as much of the mob as he could get. And a couple of years after Joe Valachi talked, but they didn't give him actual witness protection. A few years later, there was a guy, you might know this name, Joe Barboza Barron from Boston.
Yes.
Ever hear that name?
Yes, of
Yeah.
course. He got killed, didn't
Well, huh?
he? He got killed, didn't he?
Yeah, 7 years later, they pinned him down in San Francisco.
Yeah, and they killed him. He
But
was one of the first, he's one of the only guys who they killed in the program.
yeah, he was, and he was the first one that was like officially witness protection. But instead of doing the case for what he did, he fingered 6 other guys. When they killed this guy, they killed a guy named Teddy Deegan, and he pinned other guys like this guy Joe Salvati. Joe Salvati did 29 years inside, and then they paroled him for 3 more years before they completely took everything off of him. So they had Joe Salvati, Peter Lamoni, and there was another guy. And these were things where there's a sentence in the police report that would have exonerated Joe Salvati, but they only used half of the sentence. And they had similar things in the FBI reports.
Right.
There was a lawyer in Boston, an older retired guy. For whatever reason, he picked up Joe Salvati's case, and it didn't take him long to start finding many things that just didn't add up. And that's the reason that Joe Salvati got out of jail after 29 years for something he didn't do. And between the three guys, the settlement was $101 million for what they did to those three guys. And the reason it was like that is because it was documented. That's what the Boston police, the prosecutor, and the FBI did. They framed them and then they got caught. But that was Joe Barboza Barron that framed Peter Lamoni and Joe Salvati and the other guy, I can't think of his name. But he was a bad piece of shit there, Joe Barboza.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's what I heard. I mean, I didn't know anything, officially about him, but I heard some of the stories that he was a disgrace.
Vicious hitman and ran a pretty big Shylock. And you didn't want Joe Barboza Barron to have your ticket. You didn't want him to hold your ticket because it's time to go home and say goodbye to the family because you're only going to be around maybe another week or so.
Right.
Unless you ran away and left. And how about John Materano?
Yeah, sure. From Philadelphia.
No. This John Materano from Boston. He was from Boston.
No.
See, South Boston years ago was run by the Gustin gang, Gustin. And then they got into a war with the Killeens. And then the Killeens got killed. And right after the Killeens got killed, South Boston was a little bit open there for a while. And that's right when Whitey Bulger got out of jail.
Yeah.
So Whitey Bulger came back to South Boston and they were halfway hooked up with this Winter Hill gang from Somerville.
Right.
And so they worked together. Whitey worked with Henry Winter and the Winter Hill gang. And John Materano was another. If this guy had your ticket, it was worse than having Joe Barboza have it.
Right. I know. Yeah, I know him too. This guy you're talking about from Boston, Materano. He was with Whitey Bulger. Yeah.
This guy liked to go by himself. He preferred to go by himself. He'd prefer to shoot you in the head with a 38, but he'll do pretty much anything. This guy walked into a diner, like a diner restaurant, like you're used to seeing in where you come from, in Bensonhurst or whatever.
Yeah.
And he walked in there at 12 o'clock lunchtime. He had one of those white jackets on, the 3/4 length that a meat cutter wears, a hard hat, sunglasses. He walked in there. The place was packed. Boom, boom, boom. Hit the guy in the head, turned around, walked out, got in the car, and he left. And I don't know how these guys never get caught. And then another time, Commercial Street in the north end of Boston. It's a pretty big, pretty busy street. And the north end of Boston is just like any street in the 5 boroughs of New York. They're narrow streets, a lot of houses, a lot of people. I think this one was 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday. And he got out of the car because he saw the guy in another car that he wanted. And he had an AK-47 on automatic. And I think there was 3 guys in the car. When he got done, there was 100 shell casings on the street. And he just went over, got in another car, and he left. And he's pretty cold-hearted guy. And he was on 60 Minutes too. There's a 60 Minutes story about John Materano from Boston. But in the 60s, it may be the same in New York, 60s, 70s, and 80s, there was bodies dropping all the time. I was born in 53. So in 63, I'm only 10 years old. But just like you did, you know a little bit about what's going on. You don't really know what's going on, but you know a little bit about what's going on. And at least once a week or more, they found another dead body, and they always said it was gangland style killing.
Right.
I was like 10 years old. I didn't know what gangland style killing was.
Right.
Well, I found out gangland style was a couple of 22s under your ear, you know. But there was a lot. And then, and you know, even in New York in the 80s was
Oh yeah.
terrible. They were,
It was like the Wild West. There was fucking, you know, I would remember was sitting in the club reading the paper, and they said, "Listen, they found a body. Who is it?" They read the name out of the newspaper. Yeah, I don't know. And we boom, just went back playing cards. It was so natural it didn't even mean anything. You know, it was just all right, another body. That's nothing. You know, it didn't even mean anything. It was just so wild. 67.
oh yeah, we already talked about some of that. About Vinny Ferrara, you know him too?
The
From
name is
Boston?
the name is familiar. No, I didn't know him from Boston. No, I didn't know too many guys from Boston. I heard of some of the names. That name is familiar to me, but no, I didn't know him.
Yeah, he was with Patriarca. He's from Boston, but he was with Patriarca for the most part.
Yeah, no, I didn't know him.
Let me ask you a couple other questions, and if you may not be able to answer these, just say no. No is no. I'm not gonna. You don't need any explanation. Just say no. Um, out of the things you're doing, is is the scripted show going to be the first one that comes out of the three or whatever you're working on?
Um, I'm not sure because I'm working on two of them. One's a scripted show. It's similar to The Sopranos, but it's the story of my life. A lot more truth than the Sopranos had. And the other one is the Johnny Keys hit, the one in Jersey.
Yeah,
And they're working on them simultaneously. Which one is going to come out first? I'm not 100% sure yet. I would assume that the Johnny Keys story might come out first because it's a movie and it's not a scripted show. It's a movie and it's a lot easier to do, you know, to make. So I would assume that that one may come out first, the movie, and then the scripted show is after that. We're now giving networks the rest of this month. We have 7 different networks that we're giving the scripted show to, the the teaser, whatever you want to call it, not the teaser, it's but
I
this the whole highlight, the pitch deck. So 7 web companies are getting it this month. In the next 2 weeks, 7 companies will have it, networks, and we're going to see which one gets it. Um, and when they get it, then we go legal, and then we go to the second phase. The second phase is picking the director, actors, actresses, camera people, the whole 9 yards. The third phase is we go to production. So it probably won't be out, the scripted show, for anywhere between 7 months and a year. And so I would imagine the Johnny Keys movie will come out first, I think. But
yeah,
you know,
that'd be great.
Hollywood, it's hard to tell. So and if they buy that now, we're talking with some really heavies with that one, but it's going to be a lot easier to do. And it's a movie. So I would assume that one comes out first. And we're working on another project, which that'll be the last thing. It's like crime stories. It'll be a TV thing, It'll come out, maybe there'll be 2 seasons, 3 seasons, 6, 8, 10, 12 episodes. Not necessarily my story, but crime story, but told under my name. And when that's done, another season will start with somebody different, whether it's bikers, black, Italian, whatever it is. So, but that's the last thing I think we'll be working on. So that won't come out for a while.
What did you say? You want to live to be 86? Is that what you said on your birthday?
Yeah. I says I make a deal right now for 86.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna have to revise that because you're gonna live to 96 to get all the shit done you got going.
I know. But but I do have a lot of stuff going on. And but I was joking. I said I make a deal for 86 right now, healthy 86. Because I watch people now in my age and up. I mean, some of them they're shot to the socks, bro.
Yeah.
I don't want to live that way.
No, me neither. Tiki knows very well. Don't ever leave me there like that.
Yeah, no, me either. I don't want
Don't
to.
ever leave me there like that.
Yeah, it's not. That's not life. You know, it's a number, but it's not life. They're not living anymore. You know.
Yeah.
I'm 79. I think mentally, I think I'm 49.
Yeah, you are, kind of. I had something else and now I forgot the goddamn thing. Johnny Keys, would you put him in the group that says the guy lived the life?
Oh yeah. Oh, without a doubt. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what I thought.
he left an impression on me. I always say that I think I learned more about Cosa Nostra from him, from that experience. I had him before I killed him for 12 hours, 12, 13 hours. And the guy showed me what he was. And all he wanted to die with honor. Period. He knew he was going to die. But the conversations that he had with me, I was blown away, completely blown away. When you see this movie and this story, you're going to be blown away. And
I know.
Nick Pileggi's telling me, Nick Pileggi is.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's wrote every great mafia movie. He says, I've never heard or seen a story like this. It's got to be told. This is a story that I've never heard in my life. When I was talking to Nick, the first couple of times, he said, Sammy, I heard your podcast about the Johnny Keys. I had company and I listened to it. When my company left, I went in my room, got a cup of coffee, sat down, and I had to listen to the whole thing again. And I was blown away. 2 weeks later, I had to listen to it again. And I said to myself, this is a story that has to be told. There's never been a mafia story like this, he said. And that's the guy who's got it with me, is Nick Pileggi. So when it comes out, you're going to see his name right on it.
Tell me, was this Nicky Scarfo that put the hit on him?
On who? Nicky
On
Scarfo.
Johnny Keys.
He was the other side of the war. He took over. It was Phil the Chicken Man Testa was the underboss. He was trying to take over, and he brought Nicky Scarfo in as his consigliere. Phil the Chicken Man Testa got blown up and was killed, and Nicky took over the war against Johnny Keys. So there was the two sides, but it didn't start with Nicky. It started with Angelo Bruno was killed, and then Phil the Chicken Man Testa tried to take over, and Nicky Scarfo was Angelo Bruno's cousin, a very powerful captain. 50 hits he had under his belt, and he was fighting back. And that was the war. Johnny Keys against Nicky Scarfo, who was left. And the commission ruled on backing Nicky Scarfo. But they couldn't kill this Johnny Keys. It was like a mission impossible. We had 20, 30 guys around him. He was bunked in all the time. Like I said, he had 50 hits under his belt. He was smart, treacherous, dangerous, and they couldn't kill him. And one day I went up with my guy Tato to Paul Castellano's house, and Paul gave me the hit. He said, "Get this done." And I says, I don't know the area. I don't know him. And he got this guy, Nicky Russo, a made guy, and Pal Joey, another made guy. They knew him. And he said, "You're on the hit under Sammy. Do whatever the fuck he tells you and bring him to go get this guy." And it took a while. It wasn't easy. He was ready in war. It wasn't about fighting or arguing. He was killing. They were killing each other. So it really wasn't, he was on guard to it. It wasn't easy. It was, like I said, like they said, he was cunning, very smart, and dangerous. And I was
I saw the story. I saw the story and how it was planned and getting them into the van and all that happened in there and
right,
and him telling, cover the window so nobody sees us and shit like that.
right.
But that had to be a damn tough 12 or 13 hours, whatever it was for you. It must have been a tough 12 hours to have that conversation and see where he was at and please take my shoes off and all the rest of that. It had to be a tough time for you.
He blew me away with the shoes. He says, I want a made guy. If it's not you pulling the trigger, have it to become a made guy. And then he told me, he says, "And take my shoes off." So when I looked at him, I said, "Why would you want me to do that?" He said, "My wife understands Angelo Bruno's dead. She knows we're friends. We're related. She knows about the war. She reads the papers. She was scared. And she would tell me, "You're going to get killed." And he would tell her, "Don't worry about it. I'm going to die at home with my shoes off." It was the thing he would tell her. So when he asked me to take his shoes off, he said, "When my body is found without my shoes, she'll know I was thinking of her in the last minutes of my life." I was completely blown away. How a man almost 70 could think like that and care about something like that. It amazed me. It amazed me. And all the other things he told me, the put the cover the windows. He complimented me. He said, all 5 families and part of the family in Philadelphia couldn't have me sitting in this fucking van. You did. You're a master fucking hit guy. How fucking old are you? I mean, the conversations were fucking earth shattering. And complimenting me on a fucking hit. Then he's telling me the little mistakes that I'm making to make it better for me. And the conversations, when you see the movie, the conversations just blew me away completely. And when at the end, I said, "Listen, I think we killed the wrong guy. This guy is the epitome of our life. Everything we're supposed to be. I don't know if I could die like him." And Nick Pileggi said, "You know what you 2 guys were?" I says, "Yeah, gangsters." He said, "No, no. You were samurais. They're more dangerous than you guys. But they want to die with honor, samurais." That's what he wanted. And that's what you gave him. You were 2 fucking samurais. He knew he lost. And all he wanted to do was die with honor. A samurai will stick a knife in his belly or bend over so you could chop his head off. So he wants to die with honor. He lost. That's what this guy did.
Well, he definitely died with honor, that's for sure.
Yeah. And when this thing comes out, I'm going to make him more famous than he's ever been. I hope whatever family he's got left sees that he was such a man's man. And I treated him like a man's man the entire fucking time. So
Any other guy would have been whimpering and or some version thereof, and would have been trying to give you 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. Sammy, just let me go.
right, he said
Uh,
that for a split second, all the way into it. He says, "I can make you very wealthy." I said, "Listen, John,"
I
I,
remember that part. Yeah,
I said, "I got so much respect for you right now. I know it sounds crazy, but I got so much respect for you. It's crazy. Please don't go there." No, is it ready? Oh, so and I said, "Please don't go there, bro. This is strictly Cosa Nostra. No money in the world could stop me right now." So, and he understood, and I'm going to tell you another part. When we got out of the van, we went into the weeds, into the back. And he said, "What do you want me to do, Sam?" I said, "I just follow me into the weeds, bend at the waist. And Louis Melito, who's a friend of ours, is going to shoot you in the head. No pain, no suffering. You know. Yeah." He bent at the waist, looked up at me, and said, "I'm glad it's you. I love you."
that had to hurt more.
Oh my God. I was fucking devastated. And then Louis hit him the first shot with a 357 Magnum right in the back of the head and a couple more shots, um, which were unnecessary. But I was blown away. When I went the next day, they found him in the weeds. And I went to go see Tato, and Tato had the newspaper, was in the newspapers and everything. And he said, "Great job. Take the newspaper, go to the boss's house, Paul Castellano, and go see him, report." And I went there. I rang the bell, the maid answered the door. I went in the house. He got up, he ran over, he grabbed me, hugged me. "You did it." Uh, then he looked at me, he says, "What's the matter?" I said, "Paul, I don't feel good about this. I feel dirty. I really feel fucked up." "What do you mean?" I said, "Last night I killed the epitome of our life. Everything we're supposed to be, everything I'm supposed to be, he was. I think we killed the wrong guy. He should have been the boss." And he looked at me and he said, "This was a commission hit, as high as it goes. And I ordered you, I'm your boss. You did the right thing." I said, "I know, but last night I fell in love with him." He looked at me, said, "What'd you say?" I said, "I fell in love with him. I got so much respect for this guy and love. I don't feel right." He looked at me.
Yeah, I can understand.
He looked at me, grabbed me, hugged me again, kissed me on the cheek. He says, "Sammy, you did the right thing, but don't change how you think. That's beautiful. Do you want coffee?" "No, I'm going to go. My crew is waiting for me." And I left. So, I mean, when Nick heard this, he said, "This, Sammy, this is a story that it has to be told." So they did a lot of fact checking and they love it. Backs everything I ever said about it, about him and everything else. So I think it's going to be a tremendous. And Nick told me, he said, "Sammy, the audience are going to hear this. They're going to love Johnny Keys and they're going to love you. And women are going to walk out of there, we're crying. That's the kind of movie that they're going to make out of this."
Yeah, I think that's really going to be a blockbuster. That one.
Yeah, I think so too. It has the potential for that anyway. So they're going to get a great director. Nick is a great writer. He's going to write it, do the script writing. They're going to get a great director and a great actor to play me and a great actor to play him. And then, other actors who are you know, just guys who are involved in my crew and this and that and the other thing. But the three major guys and Nick writing it, it's this is meant to be a great, great fucking movie.
It will be, I think.
I think so too.
What do we got left here?
whatever you want.
Okay.
Until my girls break my balls and come in and say, that's it, come on.
So
Because I
we,
go from one thing to the other.
Amina and I laughed about a week ago. I said, you got to stop calling me Bruce. You call me Captain.
Captain,
I was like, you can ask. I'm a captain of a ship, but I'm really a mechanical engineer. That's where the money is.
right.
But I have a captain's license. Um, I said, you ask Sammy. Ask him if he knows one made guy named Bruce. You know any made guys named Bruce?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, see that, Amina? Oh, hold on a second here. See, let me ask you a question. Do you have PTSD? I don't
No,
know if I heard you say that before or not. No.
no, no, I don't think so. No.
I probably had it before it was diagnosed, but I got epilepsy when I was 67 years old, about 4 years ago. And epilepsy, we got electrical signals in our brain, and they go pretty much straight from point A to point B. But if you got epilepsy, they get halfway there and they blow up like a lightning storm, and that's when you have a seizure. So I've taken a few sharp blows to the head between motorcycle accidents, two industrial accidents, and all the times I didn't win. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I had a pretty bad motorcycle accident here in 2018. I went off that motorcycle and hit my head, and I knocked a hole in that fiberglass helmet about as big as a $50. And it's not easy to knock a hole in a fiberglass motorcycle helmet. So it's a good thing I had it on. But it affected my memory and my emotional center.
Right.
I was on the, for lack of a better word, the tough guy side of the street. And I could see anything. I could see you get your head chopped off and I'd be fine. But right now, I get even on the edge of anything emotional and I fucking lose it. I can't even finish a sentence.
I get emotional too. Even like when I was explaining that, I would start to get emotional and I stop because when I told the story that I talked with Anna. Anna's a very pretty girl and she works for me. I'm talking about the Johnny Keys because she's making notes for the people who are going to do it. And when I'm looking at her face and I'm talking about it, I don't even, after a few minutes, I don't even see her face. I see him. I see his face. And I'm talking and I get emotional. I have to turn away from her because it's Anna, it's not him. But to me, I don't even see her anymore. I see his face, which is weird. I know it sounds weird. I don't know, a psychologist
Yeah.
told me guy's out of his mind, but I mean, that's what I see. I see him again. This is how he touched my life. There was a picture, The Godfather, where Michael takes over the family. He goes in a room and there's a bunch of guys. I don't know if you saw it. There's a bunch of guys come around him. The door is open and his wife is standing there looking. And some guy goes and grabs the door and shuts it. People think they shut the door on his wife. It wasn't that. They shut the door. It was Michael shut the door on the world. In that room, he became the boss, the godfather. He shut the door on the rest of the world, his wife and everybody else, and became a different person. I think that the Johnny Keys story did that to me. When I closed that door on Paul's house and the thing was over, I think that changed my life 100% in a different
Yeah.
way. So, and I love when Nick does these things because he gives these little samurai and this and that, and the door closed on you. The door closed on you after that Johnny Keys hit. You became a different person. I'll give you a little story to that. I know this girl I was very close with. She was my girlfriend. We were going to get married at one point, this girl, Louise.
I knew you were going to say Louise. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, one day she was talking to me and said, you know, she knew me as a kid, young guy. And she said, you're always happy. You had these happy eyes. You would joke a lot, and you were great. She said, and we broke up and we went our separate ways. You got married, I got married. And one day I saw you on 86th Street, I think it was. And I talked to you for a few minutes. And it wasn't you anymore. She says, your eyes were cold as fucking ice. You were different. I told her, I said, when did you see me? When did this happen? She's about, I don't know, somewhere about 1980. That's right around the Keys thing. What a fucking another thing to find out all these years later when somebody tells you something like that. So that Johnny Keys thing really changed my life. I became colder, harder, and so I guess that's the way it is.
Yeah. Because epilepsy really does a job on your brain. And you take these are really strong drugs you take. They're brain altering drugs to keep you from having seizures. And so after they got my meds regulated, I go to see the doctor. And she said, well, okay, now, you know, you got your meds and you haven't had a seizure in a few months and this and this. And, you know, and now you have PTSD. And she goes, whoa, 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 back up, back up. I don't want PTSD on my permanent medical record. I said, I don't have PTSD. She said, yes, you do. This is a major traumatic event in your life, which just happened to you. You have PTSD. I don't believe. So when I come home, I look it up on the internet. What are the symptoms of PTSD? And I'm going down there. Yeah, I got that. Yeah. So yeah, I did have it as a result of that.
Right.
And that really changed me.
Yeah, things like that are life-changing.
And at the same time, right, my spine is completely collapsed all the way from the top all the way to the bottom. You know, normally you have a vertebrae and a disc cushion and a vertebrae and a disc. Well, mine are all down like this. They're only 1/3 the height they should be. So I've got bone on bone. I've got bone pressing on the nerve. And I got up to where I was taking 11,000 milligrams of morphine a month.
Wow.
And then I didn't want to take any more. And the 11,000 wasn't doing it. So really I needed more. And the maximum you can do is 16,000 a month. And I just didn't want to do it anymore. It took me 5 times to stop. And I'm not a drug guy, you know, I'm not a drug guy. Shit's not coming from the street, it's coming from the hospital, which doesn't make any difference. But the first 4 times I ended up failing. And now I know why when you see on TV or you see on the street, you see that heroin junkie over there, he's all curled up and he's shaking and he's all fucked up. I didn't get that bad, but what happens is when you get down on the lower dose, you're almost to the end. It hurts so bad, you feel so bad, you'll do anything to make it stop. And so what do? You start taking it again. But this time I got clean last August. So I'm on 10 months of zero. I don't do no opioids, no nothing. And people said, well, what were you taking them for in the first place? I said, because my spine's collapsed. Isn't your spine still collapsed? Yeah. But I just live with the pain. Every day I'm in like a a level 3 to a level 8 pain range, but I just rather live with it than take drugs. So I don't take anything. I don't take Advil. I don't take anything.
Right.
And if I'm uncomfortable today, just suck it up. And you know what I think happened? This might sound crazy, but I'm sure you've heard when you lose a sense, another one of your senses gets stronger. Like
Yeah.
if you're deaf or you're blind,
Right.
something else gets stronger.
Right.
I think me living with this, and this is bad pain, this is bad pain. I think me living with this pain for the last 10 months, my mind makes it like it's invisible. I don't feel it. A lot of times, wife says, "How are you doing today?" I said, "Geez, if I felt this good every day, I wouldn't complain about nothing. I feel real good, but my back is just total junk. But I'm still okay." Not in as good shape as you.
Yeah. I make
Do you
pretty good,
go to the gym every day?
just about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still do. Yeah, I'm in pretty good shape for my age. I mean, like I said, I went to the hospital. There was that thing with the pandemic and everything. I think I was 73. And I stopped at the door. They said they were giving away the shots for free. So I had asked the woman, I said, You get the shots for free they're giving them? I never got the shot. So she says, Yeah, but you got to be 65 and older. So I said, Okay. And she looked at me like, And you got to prove it. You got to show ID. I said, Why? You don't think I'm 65? She says, Not really, no. So I said, Listen, here's my driver's license. I gave her my driver's license. I was 73. I said, I feel like jumping over and giving you a kiss. That's a compliment. I'm 73. You don't even think I'm 65. So it's crazy. But I'm still like, I'm even better now because I'm 79. And I tell people I'm 79. They don't even believe it.
Yeah. Well, you do look good. It's like my mother-in-law, like Ticky's mom. She's 86 years old. She looks like she's 50 and she acts like she's 50.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people the age, but you're in when you get up in those age brackets like mine, you can just go anytime, bang. I think the life expectancy for men is 73. I'm at 79. I'm 6 years past the lifespan already. So, that's why I made that joke. I'll make a deal for 86 right now. As long as no sickness, give me 86, you just take me out.
I think all of the men in my family, my uncles, my father's brother, and all them, they all went between 78 and 84.
Right, right. Those are the magic ages. Up in well, listen, they made the 73 or 74, whatever it is, lifespan for men. They make that out of statistics. So that's the norm. So when you're pushing 80 or 80-ish, you're way past. So anytime there, one little thing could pop and you're done.
Well, right now, me and you have to hope that this saying is correct. Only the good go young.
Yeah, I
So
hope
we'll be around for a while.
I'll be here for a little while.
Yeah,
So
in one way or the other. Um, people have asked you a question, and I thought about it myself because we don't hear anything anymore, or I don't, and I don't think you do either. Just, what happened to the mob? What are they doing now? Who's running what? Um, and
it's
I saw it. Go ahead.
it's nothing like it was. Nothing. They're nothing like it was. I mean, they're not allowed to kill people no more. Within their own ranks, they made those rules. No more killing.
That's
So
pretty much what the things said that I was watching the other day. It was about who's running Boston now, and I don't know how old it was, but it was talking about Carmen D'Annunzio, Carmen the Cheese Man. You probably heard that name before.
Yeah.
He has a cheese shop. He's about 400 pounds on the hoof. I don't know him. I never actually met him, but I know his daughter Erin real well. Haven't seen her in a while either, but oh, I don't know, Sammy. That's about all I have for right now. I can't think of anything else.
All right, bro. All right.
All right.
All right. And let me call Amina. 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 I don't know where she is. I don't even know how to shut these things off or do anything. So I need a Amina.
Maybe she's in the ladies' room or something.
Let me go by the door. Let me call her.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're done.
All right.
All right.
We'll
The
see.
captain. You got to call him the captain.
I did call him the captain.
Oh, you there?
Oh, I don't think you were there when I told him the story. I told you there's no maid guys named Bruce. And
Yeah.
Sammy agrees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anybody named Bruce.
All right, Bruce. I will get this over to you as soon as I can today. Okay.
No problem, my dear. I'll go to bed pretty soon. So,
Okay.
okay.
Have a
Good
good
to
week.
see you both. Have a wonderful day.
You
All
too.
right.
Thank you. All right. Take care.
Okay,
You
Sammy.
too.
Take care, brother. Bye now.